In a world built on volume, where pop stars compete to be louder, brighter, bigger, a whisper changed everything. No vocal acrobatics, no explosive high notes, no manufactured persona polished for perfection. Just a voice that sounded like it was singing directly into your ear. Soft, fragile, almost breakable, and yet impossible to ignore. She didn't demand attention, she invited it. While the industry chased spectacle, she chose intimacy. While others performed confidence, she performed honesty. And in doing so, she created something rare: connection. Because when Billie Eilish sang, it didn't feel like a performance. It felt like a confession, before the awards, before the headlines, before the sold-out world tours. There was a teenager recording songs in her bedroom with her brother producing beats just a few feet away. No expensive studio, no industry blueprint, no master plan, just creativity and a feeling. Then one song uploaded quietly to the internet began to ripple across the world. Within months, that ripple became a wave. Within years, it became a cultural shift. At just 18 years old, she would stand on the Grammy stage and sweep the 4 major categories: Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist, something only legends had achieved before her. Later, she would stand on the Oscars stage, holding an Academy Award in her hands. But none of that explains the real impact. Because Billie Eilish didn't just win awards, she redefined what a pop star could look like, sound like, feel like. She turned vulnerability into strength, silence into suspense, sadness into solidarity. She became the voice of a generation navigating anxiety, identity, pressure, and self-doubt in a hyper-connected world. And somehow, by whispering instead of shouting, she made the entire world lean in. This is the story of Billie Eilish, not just a pop phenomenon, not just a Grammy winner, but a quiet revolution, a bedroom dream that reshaped global music, a girl who turned softness into power and sadness into a generation's anthem. Fade to black. Title card appears slowly. Billie Eilish, from whisper to world stage, long before the fame. Before the green hair, before the arenas filled with screaming fans, there was a house in Highland Park, Los Angeles. Not a mansion, not a celebrity compound, just a modest home filled with music. Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell was born in 2001 to parents who were not pop stars, but artists. Her mother, Maggie Baird, was an actress and teacher. Her father, Patrick O'Connell, was an actor and musician. They didn't raise their children to chase fame. They raised them to create. Billie and her older brother, Phineas, were homeschooled, not out of isolation, but intention. Their education wasn't built around rigid schedules or traditional classrooms. It was built around curiosity. They were encouraged to explore, to ask questions, to experiment, to make things. Music wasn't a career option. It was normal. It was daily life. The living room often turned into a rehearsal space. The piano wasn't decoration, it was conversation. Songs weren't assignments, they were emotional outlets. By the age of 8, Billie was singing in the Los Angeles Children's Chorus. She learned harmonies, breath control, and discipline. But more importantly, she learned how music feels when voices blend together, how sound can create emotion. Meanwhile, Phineas was already writing and producing his own songs. The siblings weren't just close. They were creative partners. In that small house, their bedrooms slowly transformed into something more. A microphone, a laptop, a simple recording setup, nothing glamorous. But something powerful was forming. Billie wasn't dreaming of stadium tours. She wasn't crafting a pop persona. She was writing about nightmares, about emotions she didn't fully understand yet, about fear, insecurity, imagination. And unlike many young artists shaped by industry pressure, Billie grew up in an environment where weird was welcomed. Different wasn't discouraged. It was celebrated. Her parents didn't push her toward commercial appeal. They protected her individuality. And that protection would become crucial because the world she was about to enter would try to define her. But before the world knew her name, before the awards and interviews, there was just a teenage girl in her bedroom, a brother producing beats beside her, and a house in Los Angeles where creativity wasn't just allowed, it was home. Fade to soft instrumental build. It wasn't supposed to change her life. Ocean Eyes was never designed to launch a career. It wasn't written for charts. It wasn't crafted for radio. It was just a song. Phineas had originally written it for his own band, a dreamy, emotional track built around longing and fragile vulnerability. But something about it didn't quite fit his voice. So he turned to his little sister. Billie was only 13. She stepped up to the microphone in their bedroom studio, no pressure, no expectations, just siblings experimenting. Her voice was soft, controlled, almost whispering, but there was something else there, a quiet ache, a weight beyond her years. They recorded it quickly. No dramatic studio sessions, no major production budget, just a laptop, a mic, and instinct. At the time, Billie was dancing competitively. She needed a song for her teacher's choreography assignment, so they uploaded Ocean Eyes to SoundCloud simply so her dance instructor could access it. No announcement, no marketing campaign, no plan, just a link. But the internet has its own plans. Within days, the track began to spread. Strangers were sharing it. Bloggers were writing about it. Streaming numbers began climbing, first thousands, then hundreds of thousands. Industry emails started appearing in her inbox. Managers, record labels, agents, all asking the same question: who is this voice? The song felt different. It didn't sound like the pop-dominating radio at the time. It wasn't loud. It wasn't glossy. It felt intimate, and that intimacy made it powerful. Suddenly, the girl recording in her bedroom was sitting in meetings with record executives. But here's what made it extraordinary: she didn't change. Instead of abandoning the bedroom production style, Billie and Phineas kept it. Even after signing a record deal, they continued creating music at home. The world expected a transformation. But Billie stayed in the same room. Same brother, same process, same authenticity. Ocean Eyes wasn't just a viral hit, it was proof. Proof that in the digital age, you didn't need $1 million studio to reach millions of people. Proof that softness could travel far. Proof that vulnerability could break through noise. And at just 14 years old, Billie Eilish had stepped into the spotlight, not by chasing it, but by accidentally letting the world find her, fade into instrumental swell. By 2019, Billie Eilish was no longer just the girl behind Ocean Eyes. She was becoming something bigger, stranger, bolder, unapologetically different. Her debut album arrived with a title that sounded like a question whispered at 3 a.m. when we all fall asleep. Where do we go? It didn't sound like radio pop. It sounded like nightmares. Minimal bass lines that rattled your chest. Teeth drills sampled into percussion. Whispers layered like secrets. Lyrics about monsters under beds and the monsters inside your head. While mainstream pop sparkled with perfection, Billie leaned into discomfort. Songs like Bury a Friend felt unsettling, almost claustrophobic. You Should See Me in a Crown carried eerie confidence. And Bad Guy Playful, strange bass-heavy, became an unexpected global anthem. No giant chorus, no traditional formula, just attitude, just personality, just fearless experimentation. Critics didn't quite know where to place her. Was it pop? Alternative? Electropop? Dark wave? It didn't matter, because the audience understood. They saw themselves in her lyrics. The anxiety, the sarcasm, the insecurity, the self-awareness. Billie wasn't pretending to be untouchable. She was human. And that humanity felt revolutionary. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. Bad Guy eventually climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, dethroning one of the longest-running chart hits in history. But the defining moment came at the 2020 Grammy Awards. Billie Eilish, 18 years old, walked into music's biggest night and made history. Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year. Best New Artist? She swept the 4 major categories. The youngest artist ever to do so. As she stood on stage, visibly overwhelmed, she kept saying the same thing. This wasn't supposed to happen to me. And maybe that's why it did. Because Billie wasn't chasing domination. She was creating honestly. And in an industry often obsessed with polish and perfection, her imperfection felt real. The neon green hair became a symbol. The oversized clothes became a statement. The dark aesthetic became a movement. But underneath it all was something deeper. a teenage girl navigating fear, fame, and identity in real time. When We All Fall Asleep wasn't just a debut album. It was a shift. It told young listeners that their sadness wasn't weakness, that their weirdness wasn't a flaw, that their quiet voice could be heard. Pop music didn't just gain a new star, it gained a new direction, and Billie Eilish was leading it, softly, strangely, powerfully. Fade to thunderous applause. As Billie's music climbed the charts, something else began dominating headlines. Her image, or rather, her refusal to conform to one. In an industry that often packages young female artists into polished, hyper, glamorous archetypes, Billie did the opposite. Oversized hoodies, baggy designer streetwear, layers that concealed her shape. To some, it looked like rebellion. To others, it looked like branding. But to Billie, it was protection. She openly explained that she didn't want the world to have an opinion about her body. She didn't want headlines dissecting her appearance. She didn't want her artistry overshadowed by commentary about her curves, so she controlled the narrative before it could control her. In doing so, she sparked a global conversation about autonomy, especially for young women in entertainment. Fans praised her for challenging unrealistic beauty standards. Critics questioned her choices, but that was the point. She wasn't dressing to satisfy expectation. She was dressing to feel safe. And then she did something unexpected. In 2021, Billie appeared on the cover of British Vogue in a completely different look. Blonde hair, corset, vintage glamour, a bold reinvention. The internet exploded. Some called it empowerment, others called it contradiction. But Billie addressed it simply. Both versions were her. Because empowerment isn't about dressing one way forever. It's about choice. And choice had always been the theme. Whether hiding behind oversized silhouettes or embracing old Hollywood elegance, Billie made one thing clear. She would not be boxed in. Not by fashion, not by critics, not by public expectation. Her image wasn't rebellion for shock value. It was ownership. Ownership of her body. Ownership of her identity. Ownership of her evolution. And that evolution mirrored something deeper happening inside her music, because as her public image shifted, so did her emotional landscape. The teenage outsider was growing up, and fame was getting heavier. Fade to quiet backstage footage. Fame didn't knock politely on Billie Eilish's door. It crashed through it. One moment, she was a teenager recording in her bedroom. The next, she was standing in arenas filled with thousands of strangers screaming her name. From the outside, it looked like a dream. Inside, it felt overwhelming. She was still growing, still figuring out who she was. And now the entire world had opinions about her. Her music, her body, her relationships, her personality. Every post dissected, every outfit analyzed, every expression interpreted. The pressure wasn't gradual, it was immediate, and it was heavy. In her documentary, The World's a Little Blurry, fans saw something rare. Not a polished pop narrative, but vulnerability in real time. Billie crying backstage, admitting she felt lost, struggling with body dysmorphia, battling injuries from constant touring, navigating first love and heartbreak under a microscope. There were nights when the applause faded and silence felt louder than the crowd. Moments when success didn't feel like victory. It felt like expectation. Because when you rise that fast, the world doesn't just celebrate you. It waits to see if you'll fall. And for a young artist still becoming herself, that kind of scrutiny can be suffocating. Billie spoke openly about depression, about feeling misunderstood, about the pressure to always appear grateful, strong, composed. But instead of hiding it, she did something brave. She let people see it. She talked about therapy, about anxiety, about the loneliness that can exist in the middle of adoration. And in doing so, she became more than a pop star. She became a mirror. Millions of young people saw themselves in her honesty, in the admission that success doesn't erase insecurity, that fame doesn't cure sadness, that vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. If anything, it takes more strength to admit you're struggling while standing on the world's biggest stages. Behind the flashing lights and sold-out tours was still that girl from Los Angeles. Still writing. Still feeling deeply. Still searching for balance. But something was changing. The teenager who once whispered into a bedroom microphone was growing into a woman who understood her power, and the responsibility that came with it. The question was how she would evolve through it. Fade into soft instrumental build. By the time Billie began working on her second album, she was no longer the mysterious teenage newcomer. She was a global icon, and that changes things. The whispers that once felt intimate now carried expectation. The darkness that once felt experimental now felt familiar. So the question became, who is Billie Eilish when the shock has faded? The answer arrived in 2021, Happier Than Ever. But the title was almost ironic, because this wasn't an album about simple joy. It was about growth. The production shifted. Less eerie minimalism, more live instrumentation, warmer textures, classic influences woven into modern vulnerability. She wasn't hiding in shadows anymore. She was confronting them. Songs like Your Power stripped everything down. Acoustic, exposed, almost fragile. It addressed manipulation and imbalance in relationships, delivered not with anger but quiet disappointment. Then came the title track. It begins softly, reflective, restrained. But halfway through, something changes. The guitars crash in. The drums hit harder. Her voice rises, no longer whispering. It's not just a song, it's a release. An eruption of everything she had been holding inside. Frustration, betrayal, exhaustion. For the first time, the world heard Billie scream. Not literally, but emotionally. It was the sound of someone reclaiming her narrative. No longer the shy prodigy. No longer the industry's mysterious girl. She was a woman setting boundaries. The blonde hair symbolized more than a style shift. It marked a transition. A shedding of the neon green era that defined her breakout. This wasn't reinvention for headlines. It was evolution. And perhaps the most powerful thing about Happier Than Ever was its honesty about fame itself. The exhaustion of being watched. The loneliness of success. The realization that admiration doesn't equal understanding. Yet, despite the pressure, Billie didn't retreat. She expanded. Touring the world again, she stood on stage not as a phenomenon, but as an artist in control. The vulnerability remained, but now it carried confidence. The softness remained, but now it carried strength. Billie Eilish wasn't trying to shock the world anymore. She was telling the truth about what it feels like to grow up under its spotlight, and in that truth she found something even more powerful than mystery. Maturity. Fade into roaring crowd as she sings the final explosive chorus. There are moments in an artist's career that feel symbolic. Moments that quietly say, you've crossed into something timeless. For Billie Eilish, one of those moments came in 2022, the Academy Awards. Standing beside her brother Phineas, dressed in elegance but still unmistakably herself, she performed No Time to Die, the haunting theme song for the legendary James Bond franchise. It was cinematic, dramatic, controlled, a whisper that had matured into orchestral power. When the envelope opened and her name was called, Billie Eilish became one of the youngest artists in history to win an Academy Award for Best Original Song. The girl who once uploaded a demo for her dance teacher was now holding Hollywood's highest honor. But the Oscar wasn't just about prestige. It was about validation. Validation that her softness could fill the grandest stages, that her unconventional rise wasn't a trend. It was a shift. That intimacy could live alongside orchestras and legacy franchises. And beyond the awards, something even bigger was happening. Her tours were selling out globally. From North America to Europe, Asia to Australia, arenas lit up with thousands of fans singing every word back to her. Not just hits, deep cuts, quiet tracks, personal lyrics. Billie didn't just build an audience, she built a community. At concerts, you don't just see screaming fans. You see tears. You see release. You see young people finding comfort in someone who once admitted she felt lost, too. Her impact stretches beyond charts and trophies. She has influenced fashion, rewritten pop production norms, opened conversations about mental health, challenged how female artists are presented and perceived, and she did it without abandoning who she was. No dramatic personality switch, no manufactured reinvention, just growth, step by step, from bedroom recordings, to Grammy sweeps, to Oscar wins, to stadiums glowing in unison. Billie Eilish didn't just enter the music industry, she reshaped it, gently but permanently. Fade to wide stadium shot, thousands of lights waving in the dark. Billie Eilish didn't follow the rules of pop music. She rewrote them. From the whisper of ocean eyes to the explosive maturity of Happier Than Ever, she has shown that intimacy can be powerful, vulnerability can be universal, and honesty can be louder than any stadium cheer. Her influence is everywhere, in music, fashion, and the very way a generation thinks about authenticity. Artists emulate her unconventional production, her fearless lyricism, and her ability to turn sadness into art. But Billie's legacy isn't measured by awards or streams alone. It's in the quiet moments. A teenager finding courage to speak about anxiety, self-doubt, and mental health. Fans seeing themselves reflected in her honesty. The unspoken reassurance that it's okay to be different, to feel deeply, to exist authentically in a world that demands conformity. She has shown the world that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides behind oversized hoodies, platinum hair, or soft, haunting vocals. And sometimes it builds an empire without compromise. Billie Eilish is not just a pop star. She is a generational mirror, a storyteller, a revolutionary in soft neon and shadow. Her story continues to evolve. Her music continues to resonate.